It's the 5th anniversary of Who's Who in Latino Columbus. Please welcome to the stage our Mistress of Ceremony, Miss Sandra Callio. Sandra?
Buenas noches. Me da mucho gusto estar aquí con ustedes hoy, and it's an honor for me to be your Mistress of Ceremonies for today. So thank you all for being here. And we are all here for the unveiling of the 5th edition of the Who's Who in Latino Columbus. And it not only does it give us another reason to get guapos for the evening, but it's really important because it recognizes individual achievement, but most importantly, our collective accomplishments as a community. And events like this promote us and strengthen our community, which is great. And first and foremost, I want to recognize the Miss Ohio Latinas here, that is here. If you guys want to go ahead and stand up. We have Miss Ohio Latina, Miss New Albany, Miss Westerville, and Miss Reynoldsburg. Thank you, ladies. So with all that said, I leave you with someone who is very instrumental to Who's Who Publishing and is instrumental to our Who's Who in Latino Columbus. I leave you with Chief Operating Officer Carter Womack.
Good evening. I was the voice up on the steps if you didn't recognize it. I want to take an opportunity on behalf of the Who's Who's Publishing Company and family, a member of Real Times Media, which is headquartered in Detroit, Michigan, under the leadership of Hiram E. Jackson, the CEO for Real Times Media. Who's Who's Publishing celebrates this year 25 years. This company is 25 years old, headquartered here in Columbus, Ohio. We publish books that celebrate diversity and inclusion around the country. We produce these books in 25 different markets across the country at sometimes 2 books a month, and sometimes 3, and sometimes it's just 1. But we are honored to have the opportunity to be a part of this, the 5th anniversary celebration of our Who's Who in Latino Columbus. So we thank you for coming. It's going to be a phenomenal program. It's a great celebration. Ramona, every year, I saw Ramona. I told her I wasn't going to do this year. We're going to do a picture collage of Ramona. Her looks change every year. So just wait to see the new Ramona. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of the evening.
Now, unfortunately, our mayor could not be here with us today, but he did send a very special video message that we will see here.
Good evening. I'm Mayor Mike Coleman, and I wish that I could be with you tonight at the historic Lincoln Theater to celebrate the 5th edition of Who's Who in Latino Columbus. I want to extend my congratulations to Who's Who and everyone featured in this year's book. The strength of our city is our rich diversity. Latinos in Columbus enhance our communities in so many great ways, leading businesses, working in higher education, and as elected officials. What I love most about Who's Who book is that it lifts up our diverse leaders for our young people to see. I'm so proud of all of you this evening. Thank you for your service to this great city. I want to congratulate Ramona Reyes for her hard work and continued dedication to this project. And I look forward to working with Who's Who for many years to come. Thank you.
It's an honor for me to introduce to you our State Senator, Charleta Tavares.
Thank you very much, Sandra. And first of all, to Carter Womack, thank you very, very much for bringing not only Who's Who Columbus for the African American community, but for 5 years, Who's Who in the Latino community of Columbus. It's important, as the mayor shared, to not only recognize the rich diversity, but to recognize not only the ethnicity, but all of the races within our community who are lifting each other up as we move our community forward. I wanted to start off saying buenas noches, and as mi hermanos y hermanas, I want to really share with you how important your perspective is in our community. As your state senator, it's important that I hear from you. We have wonderful, rich histories that each of us can share with each other, traditions that we can share, cultures that can be shared. But it does us no good if we don't help each other and interact with each other. And so this is a celebration not only for our young people, but for people of all ages. People of all ages within the Latino community to lift each other up, lift the community up, and the Columbus and Central Ohio community as a whole. I too want to recognize Ramona Reyes, who is a colleague as an elected official here in Central Ohio. Columbus is benefiting from her perspective on the Columbus School Board, and Columbus as a whole is benefiting from all of you who are sharing your story, your skills, and talents. And I just want to say I'm proud to serve as your senator. I believe I have one of the largest Latino Hispanic districts in Central Ohio, one of the largest in the state of Ohio. I want to do all that I can with Liliana Kavanaugh and the Ohio Hispanic Coalition, the commission that I serve on as well, to do what we can to change policies, to help lift the community, but also to address the needs. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Senator Tavares. Now, while it's important to keep in mind matters at the state level, it's important to keep things local as well. And with that, I introduce to you City Councilman Herschel Craig.
The mentor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said this: there ought to be something in a person's life greater than their vocation, more grand than their material possessions or wealth, higher than genius, more enduring than fame. Here lies your greatest challenge and most compelling duty. Whoever uplifts civilization is rich, though they die penniless. Future generations will erect their monument. I want to say to you this evening how proud I am to be with you this evening. This is not my first year, and I certainly want to congratulate all of you on this 5th year. I had mentioned to someone that right on this very corner, I wash dishes at Rogers Chesapeake Restaurant. In many years, I walked the streets of Long Street and Mount Vernon Avenue. And certainly what a great honor and privilege for me it is to be here to celebrate with the Latino community. I think the senator has said it well, the enormous, extraordinary contributions that all of you make on behalf of our city, not only our city, but our state and our world. So it really honors all of us to be with you on this great moment. This 5th year, I certainly need to acknowledge the work of Carter Wormack and certainly Ernie Sullivan and all of the visionaries that have made it possible for us to really be tied at the hip around diversity and really what that means for all of us and the contributions that you make every day on behalf of families and children. And so it honors all of us. Certainly the young people that are here, for many of us, the shoulders that we all are standing on. But to really on this 5th year to honor you in such a way. I too honor Ramona Reyes, who is a dear friend, a good friend, that serves our children every single day in the Columbus Public Schools to make sure that we have quality education for all of our children. So we honor you tonight, and we say muchas gracias for all that you do for us, and know that we love you, we honor you, and we appreciate you. God bless you.
Thank you, Councilman. Now, we do want to remind you to keep the conversation going, so please tweet about the event and let us know how great of a time you're having. So the next person I'd like to introduce to you is the Executive Vice President of Who's Who Publishing. I give you Ernie L. Sullivan.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. It's funny, you know, anniversaries are very special times, and they're to be celebrated, and they're to be remembered. And I'm trying to remember, we have so many anniversaries now, you know, the 25th anniversary for Who's Who, the 5th anniversary for the book Latino Columbus, the 5th anniversary for the Lincoln Theater, also the 5th anniversary, I believe I'm correct, for the Latino Festival. Is that right? Maybe not. I thought it was close. Kappa and something, 5th anniversary anyway. But a lot of anniversaries, and that means that people are giving their support. 5 years ago, Columbus became the first city in the United States to produce Who's Who in the Latino world, in this case in Columbus. And our city should be really proud of that. We should be really proud of not only being first, but also sustaining it for 5 years. And this is possible because our community and its leaders recognize the importance of diversity, and they recognize the growth, the innovation, and the creativity that comes from it. They understand that the community and businesses are more successful when we utilize the skills of our total community. Throughout the history of Columbus, our success has been fueled by the talents of our people. Who's Who in Latino Columbus shines the light on the contributions that Latinos are making as entrepreneurs, corporate leaders, educators, veterans, athletes, entertainers, and community leaders. These individuals represent a very strong component in the overall success of our great city. We are a city on the rise. The growth that Columbus has experienced in its Latino population is being seen throughout the United States. Today, it's estimated that 50 million Latinos are living in the United States. By 2050, growth trends project that 1 in 3 people in the United States will be of Latino heritage. We at Who's Who Publishing are proud to be able to share these stories of success and accomplishment. So hats off to Columbus and hats off to all of you tonight. So at this point, I'd like to have some remarks from our advertisers, and we'll start with Juan Jose Perez Jr., who's a senior consultant, corporate strategy, Nationwide Insurance. Juan?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Nationwide, as Ernie mentioned, is a proud sponsor of all of the Who's Who Columbus publications. If you really look at me closely, you may recognize me actually from the cover of the 2009 inaugural edition, of which Nationwide was a sponsor. Not because I was on it, but because my father was on it, which is something that I'm very proud of. And if you allow me just a moment, I really want to share an anecdote with you that speaks to the importance of who's who and the mission and the goals of the publication. So my father, when I came to this event here, told me that he was speaking at an event and I should come. He didn't tell me what the event was or what was happening. He didn't invite my mother. And lo and behold, we get to the event, and he doesn't even tell me he's on the cover. I didn't see until this sheet came up that he was on the cover. And I'm taking pictures with my cell phone, sending them to my mother. And to this day, he's still paying for it. It's true. It's funny, but it's very true. And I tell you that because that speaks to really the importance of what's happening with Who's Who Latino Columbus. My observation of the Latino culture and growing up in it and getting involved in the Hispanic business community is that we are fantastic at accomplishing great things. We're not so good at being our advocates about the things that we accomplish. So we're not good about bragging about the great things that we're doing. And we need to get better about that. That really is for the advancement of Latinos everywhere, and that is for the advancement of ourselves. And that is one of the reasons that I think that this type of publication is so important. And really that promotion of diverse talent is very much aligned with the goals of Nationwide. On behalf of Nationwide's CEO, Steve Rasmussen, our Chief Administrative Officer, Gail King, our 33,000 associates, I'd like to thank Real Times Media, Ernie Sullivan, and Ramona Reyes, a fellow Nationwider, for the spotlight that you shine on diverse talent all over Columbus and the United States. Congratulations on behalf of Nationwide to the honorees. You are phenomenal folks, each and every one of you. The stories that are in Who's Who Latino Columbus really do warrant having a spotlight shined on them. Thank you for serving as leaders within Central Ohio. Thank you for inspiring others to do the great things that you've done. And thank you so much for serving as an example that with the tenacity to chase your dreams, you can accomplish them. Lastly, I'd like to say that at Nationwide, and this is not something that we say as corporate speak, but it really is near and dear to my own heart as well as other Nationwiders, we believe as a mutual company that we're more than a business. And what we mean by that is that we are not just here to make a profit. We're not just here for shareholders because we don't have shareholders. We're here to invest in the communities that we serve. And Nationwide has really shown that in a number of ways. One that is near and dear to my heart is investing in Hispanic professional development and advancement through being our highest level of sponsorship, the local chapter of the National Society of Hispanic MBAs, of which I'm president of. Lastly, I wanted to say that Nationwide could not be more grateful to you all today for giving us the opportunity to exercise and demonstrate our On Your Side promise by investing in the community and promoting talent and diversity within Central Ohio. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Juan, and we really appreciate, again, Nationwide support for all you do to help us put the spotlight on diverse talent in Columbus. At this point, I'd like to bring up Yolanda Cepeda, who is the Assistant Provost, Office of Diversity and Inclusion, The Ohio State University.
Good evening. It is a great joy to be a part of this celebration, and I'd like to thank the Who's Who Publishing, Ernie Sullivan, Ramona Reyes, and my fellow sponsors, but also, and most especially, those individuals who are featured in the publication. Your accomplishments make Columbus a richer and more exciting place to be. The Ohio State University, and specifically the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, under the leadership of Dr. Valerie Lee, is working hard to expand opportunities for Latinos to bring their talent and the richness and diversity to our campus. I'd like to take a moment to share a little of what we are doing. One of our key centers, LASER, or Latino and Latin American Space for Enrichment and Research, provides mentoring for students from high school through the PhD. We have one of our mentees here. Actually, we have a couple here, but one mentee I especially want to recognize. He will be starting at Ohio State this fall. Brian Quijada, where are you? Brian? Is he still here? Here. So I'd like to say a word about Brian. Brian is one of our young scholars, so starting in middle school, he became involved with our programs, and he received academic enrichment and support through his middle school and high school years. He gained admission to Ohio State with a full scholarship because of that program, But that wasn't good enough. He went out and got a National Gates Millennium Scholarship. So congratulations, Brian. So yeah, we're looking for really great things from Brian, and we thank him for being here. Laser also brings top Latino scholars and artists to the community, authors like Juno Diaz and Ana Castillo. And this past spring, we hosted a conversation with San Antonio Mayor Julian Castro and our Laser students. We're also committed to increasing access to college for Latino youth across the state. So several of you were at the conference that we hosted this spring together with the Commission on Latino Affairs and also Senator Tavares there looking at education for Latinos in Ohio. We also, next month, we are hosting a forum, the Bridge Builders Forum. It's a free day-long program for Latino high school youth and their families. And we partner with the Gates Millennium Scholars Program and also the Hispanic Scholarship Fund. And we bring college representatives from all across the state, 30 colleges and universities, to meet with families, to teach them about how to successfully apply to and gain admission to college, and also how to pay for it. So I have some flyers that are out in the hallway there, and I hope that each and every one of you will take flyers and bring all the youth that you see in your neighborhoods and your churches, and your colleagues' children, and your own children and grandchildren, for those of you who are in my generation. In addition to our Latino programs, we have an array of programs that are designed to support the success of students of color. So we host a National Todd Bell Center on the African American male. This year we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of our Hail Black Culture Center. It's one of the top cultural centers at a university nationwide, and it's named in honor of Frank W. Hale Jr., whom many of you here knew. He was a forceful advocate for civil rights. I also mentioned our Young Scholars Program, and that program has served about 3,000 students, and about 800 have already completed their degrees. So we believe that inclusive excellence is both the means and a goal. We are uniquely positioned to prepare our leaders to recognize the value of diverse thinking and to prepare leaders who have the capacity to engage productively in culturally diverse contexts. Latinos are an important part of our mission, and the strength of an Ohio State education depends on the full participation of Latinos. That includes you. So we need all of you as role models, as mentors, as employers of our students, and for each of you in the room, we need your children, your grandchildren, your neighbors' children, and so bring them to Ohio State, bring them to the Bridge Builders Forum next month. With your engagement, Ohio State is a better place for Latinos, for everyone. And again, my congratulations to all of you who are contributing to the great success of this Who's Who publishing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. And again, thank The Ohio State University for all that you do to support diversity and inclusion at all levels in our city. We appreciate you very much. And our final sponsor message will come from Tom Lioness, Bob Evans.
Good evening, everyone. Ernie actually told me I had 30 minutes, but I have a little bit of a cough. I'll try and hold it to 20. Bob Evans is extremely proud to be a sponsor, not only for this year's edition of Who's Who in Latino Columbus, but also for the Who's Who in Black Columbus and the Who's Who in GLBT Columbus. It's always a great pleasure to work with Ernie and Carter and, of course, Ramona for this edition. But we want to make sure that we congratulate and recognize the Who's Who team for the work that they do in stepping across racial and ethnic boundaries and barriers of gender identity, sexual orientation, to recognize all the people in our community that make Columbus such a great city. So I know he's back here. Bob Evans when I started at Bob Evans, I went down to the farm in Rio Grande. It's in the middle of nowhere. Bob Evans actually did start his business in a barn on a farm. But one of the things that everybody always told me is that before he started his restaurants, he finally had to start a restaurant because so many people stopped by his house to get sausage, they had to invite them into their kitchen to feed them. And the great thing is that he and his wife, Jewel, never turned anyone away. That's how we feel about everybody at Bob Evans. Everyone, every family, no matter their color, their race, their nationality, their origin, is welcome at our table. So we especially want to make sure that we reach out to the people in the Latino community and welcome you to Bob Evans, and we hope that we can partner with you in business through hiring Latinos. We have worked with some of you here already in Central Ohio. We are launching initiatives in the Tampa Clearwater area, Chicago. We just came back from Michigan. So we are reaching out to the Latino community to partner with us as we grow. It's so great to be here because how many of you went to this last weekend's really amazing Festival Latino? So we'd like to thank our friends at Kappa and of course Diana for your amazing work on that. Because Diana is just one example. As I look around the room, I see so many people that I've worked with over the years who have really brought the Latino community to prominence in Columbus. Their association through politics, through education, through military and public service has made us a great community. But the best part about this is looking out and seeing so many new faces here tonight, so many beautiful young faces and brilliant young people that we have had the chance to work with, and that it's been my honor to work with through so many of my jobs. And Lord knows I've had a number of them here in Columbus. But it just is such great promise for our city and for our community. And so I think tonight it's only fitting that whoever is on the cover of this year's edition gets the recognition that I'm so sure they richly deserve as leaders. But for those of you that aren't on the front cover, each one of you is a leader, and you've done so much for the community. Thank you very much.
Thanks to all our sponsors. The next person I'd like to invite up to the stage is Executive Director for the Ohio Commission on Hispanic and Latino Affairs, Liliana Kavanaugh.
Buenas noches. Today I ask all of you to pause. Forget about the hard week. Forget about the busy tomorrow. But join me in the celebration where we come together to honor those that are making history in our community. And I want to begin by thanking you on behalf of the Ohio Commission on Hispanic and Latino Affairs and recognizing the effort that this community in particular has done to celebrate who we are and what we do every day. I also want to recognize your commissioners for the area that are here with us today, Emmanuel Torres and Elizabeth Guzman Bowman. If you are here, can you please stand up and be recognized? These individuals, along with Senator Tavares and many others, work tirelessly to make sure that your voices are heard, not only in state government, but also throughout the nation. So one of the speakers earlier tonight mentioned the year 2050. For some of us, we go like, yes, that's way down the road. But how many of us have children? Raise your hands. How many of us have grandchildren? Raise your hands. What do you think is going to be happening 36 years from now? And that is where I want to take you, because we have to imagine today a country of minorities. What will that be like? You know, let me tell you what it is like. It is what we see here in Central Ohio today. Today, we are in a place where culture is the new currency for growth. Our culture is the new currency for growth, not just in Columbus, Ohio, but in the state of Ohio. For us, globalization is not something that is talked about. It's something that is a part of everything we do and every day in our lives. Nowadays, the accent is no longer a problem. In fact, it is an opportunity. So those days when we walked with our heads low and tried to fake English with the most English accent we could are over and done. Be who you are and enjoy who you are becoming. Because whether you have an accent or not, it really doesn't matter anymore. Those are things that we can leave behind us as we free ourselves to be part of that new 2050 world where everything belongs to the majority of the minorities. But we're more than numbers. Yet, numbers do matter. When I say immigrants, what do you think of, especially here in Ohio? Did you know that 49.5% of the immigrants in Ohio are naturalized U.S. citizens? What does that tell you about what mainstream tells you about immigrants? When half of them are already naturalized citizens. And 85% of those naturalized citizens have a high school diploma or higher. Is that what you think when you think of immigrants? Is that what mainstream media wants you to believe when you think of immigrants? Tonight, you're going to hear about the stories of heroes. She heroes, he heroes. And you will see that they reflect another face of our community that we must be so very proud of. Nationally, 50,000 Latinos turn 18 every month. Can you grasp your heads around that number? What is 50,000? How many Latinos are there in Central Ohio? Or how many they say? Are we 55,000? Are we 60,000? Imagine 50,000 souls turning 18 years old every year, every month. And the future of our country is not in their hands, it is in our hands. Because as leaders, we are the mentors, and we are the ones that are the pillars to build that foundation of the future. Again, think of 2050. We are growing because of births, not because of immigration. The people that used to say all these immigrants and people coming across the border, the numbers are down. But yet, we do know that the average age of Latinos in the country and in our area is around 24, 25. And we know that in Central Ohio, we have some of the older population of Latinos, even up to 40 years old. So they are in the prime time to build families. We also know that Hispanic businesses are very important, and they have increased at a rate more than twice the rate of the national average. So why are we not holding our heads high? We are producing the economy of the future. What is there not to be proud of? So do you ask yourself, do we really matter? Of course we do. We, you and I, and our kids and our grandkids, we are the future. We are already an important part of Ohio's population. In all but one of 88 counties, population growth is being driven by people who identify themselves as, guess what? Hispanic. Let me tell you that again. 88 counties, all but one, are growing because of us. We are where it is happening, Central Ohio. No matter where I travel across the state, and I do plenty of that, people are saying, oh, wow, you're in Columbus. That's the place where it is happening. So we need to be proud of that, and with that comes a huge responsibility. Franklin County is one of those among all of the Ohio counties that is gaining the greatest number of total residents. And Hispanic residents have a lot to do with that count. We are home to roughly a quarter of Ohio's foreign-born population, right here where we are. So I could bore you with a lot of data, which you already know and are experts about, but I do think it's important to just mention one thing. When they talk about the melting pot, we look at each other and we say, carambas, what are you talking about? Back home in Costa Rica, we are the melting pot, Back home in Honduras or Venezuela or Argentina or Mexico or wherever, we are the melting pot. What is this thing that they're talking about? Realize that a lot of what mainstream America is trying to understand is something that is part of your DNA. Use it with wisdom and pride. Being a part of the melting pot is very important. The interesting thing, too, is that in Central Ohio, 8.2% of the people report themselves as being multiracials. So we're not just talking about the different races that we share, what we bring with our heritage from back home. But once we are here, we are mixing with the people from Asia, from Africa, from America, from all over the place, and we are enriching this culture that we are. The best of our DNAs are coming together. Show pride, show humility, and show wisdom. ¿Se habla inglés? Sí, but you know what? We consume in English. 71% of the Latinos in Franklin County speak Spanish at home. However, 44% of them claim to speak English quite well. So for those of you who may underestimate, when you see us in the market making faces, don't always believe that we don't know what you're saying. We live in families. We're not just all single men coming here to find a chance. We're not all single women coming to see if we find the American man to have a green card or such. No, we are here as families. And in fact, the majority of the people who live in Columbus are part of families, which is something that is very important. Our reality and our commitment to make this place our home is giving us a competitive advantage, because here in Central Ohio, we're very versatile and we are ambicultural. What is that? Is that ability that we have to pivot from English to Spanish, from Latino or Hispanic to very American, from arroz y frijoles to Burger King. You name it, we can do it. That middle ground that we are able to navigate allows us the opportunity to use it as a shift. That is the great advantage. That is what people are spending thousands and millions of dollars trying to figure out. You guys got it. Use it. They talk about the purchasing power, and you know the numbers. I think it's important for us to know that in Ohio, Latinos are making a huge difference. In fact, in the year 2012, the purchasing power of Ohio Latinos totaled $8.2 billion with a B. Yeah, be proud of it. I bet you a lot of that was us Latino women buying shoes. But it's okay. But we have power. It is so important because it has increased by 432% since 1990. You tell that with pride. I am giving you ammunition to encourage your self-esteem and to realize how critical you are, not just to our little community, but to this nation. We got power. Latino-owned businesses in Ohio employed over 11,500 people, and they have received for $2.3 billion. That is just in Little Ohio. And the new surveys are going to be coming out revealing greater numbers. Why is that important? Because we're making it happen. And gentlemen, all of you in the room, I want you to scan the room for all these beautiful women around you. Do it, please. And the reason why I'm asking you to do that is because it's quite possible you might be working for one of them if you're not already. It is a fact. Latina entrepreneurs in America start businesses at a rate 6 times the national average and are the fastest growing segment among women-owned businesses. Did you absorb that? Did you register what I just said? And let's go back to 2050. Minorities, minorities, minorities. where right now Latina entrepreneurs are at the head, what is going to be happening here in 2050? And why do we need to invest in these women and this youth? Why do we need to be mentors? Why do we need to take them back to our roots of pride, dignity, and hard work? Because it is on them that we're going to create the foundation, not just for us, but for the entire country. These Latinas are coming up nationally and locally, and they're being driven by their inclination to embrace and to retain their Hispanic culture, even as they're making huge strides towards success in mainstream America. You don't have to deny one to be another. You can embrace both and have the best of both worlds. Let's learn from that lesson. We are the future, and the future is here. We don't have to choose between Latino or American culture. We can be both. We are able to leverage all the resources that are available to us. And if you don't believe me, just think a few days back at the Latino Festival, where you saw it happening. 150,000 people don't come together by chance. And thank you so much for celebrating us in such a tremendous way. That is a huge demonstration of the power of unity that we have as a community. We can sustain our Latino culture, and we can navigate American mainstream as a community with pride and respect. The other thing that we've done so well, especially here, is to connect with each other. We are reaching a balanced bicultural place where we are embracing technology, where we are embracing our Latinism, our Americanism, and everything in between. And we are allowing ourselves to be in touch with each other, but most importantly, we're allowing ourselves to be in touch with our people back home, La Familia. Yes, the Twitter and the Facebooks and the FaceTimes and all these things are helping us to fill some of that space that for many of those that came before us was an empty space. And with that comes new opportunities and new challenges. Never forget the values that brought you here, because they're going to be so important for the future. So as I said, tonight we're here to celebrate our heroes. And as someone that has already been part of the Who's Who in Latino Columbus, I tell you, it's one of the most important things that happens to us when you realize, wow, what a responsibility I have as one of the Who's Who in Latino Columbus. But it is a huge responsibility, and it's a huge honor. And I say that each one of those individuals that you will hear about tonight are those that value hard work, family, determination, resilience, optimisms, and they are imprinting those values on everything they do and everyone they see in our community. As I often like to tell people, where are you going to be in the bus? And that's something that we as Latinos, probably most of us have been in the el bus, la troca, la chiva, whatever you call it, wherever you happen to come from. But I always say, for a long time, we used to be the passengers. We are ready, and we respectfully take charge of the driver's seat. Come along for the ride, because it's going to be a good one. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kavanaugh, for the wonderful messages. Next, I have the great honor to introduce the interesting personalities for the Who's Who in Latino Columbus. And I will ask that, as your name is mentioned, that everyone come to the front. And the first one being Dwayne Cesares. Then we have Rick Sandoval. Josue Vicente. Alejandro Rodriguez, who unfortunately could not be here today due to some family matters. And then we have Felipe Guerrena. Aslin Rodriguez. Lair Marin Marcum. And if we could just give them another round of applause. We also want to take a moment to recognize the emerging leaders for the 2014 Who's Who in Latino Columbus. We also would like to recognize the future leaders. I'm sure we'll hear great things from them. We also want to give another kudos to Brian Quijada. It's a great accomplishment that he's done. And we want to give one final congratulations to the 2014 honorees. And next, and finally, I have the pleasure to introduce Ramona Reyes.
And a big thank you for Sandra and her emceeing today, please. This edition is a continuation of great stories about men and women who came before us, worked hard, and made sacrifices so that we would be able to pass on greater opportunities to the next generation. Many people often wonder, well, who's in the book and how do I qualify? Well, I wish I could say that I know all 50,000 plus Latinos in Columbus, but I don't. So I look to you to help us fill these pages. Many of you, I have to beg to be in the book. As J.J. Perez said earlier, that we are a humble people. Many of us do not want to share our stories. But I hope you know that your story is important. Just as important as my mother's story, who dropped out of second grade, who worked in the fields, never got a high school education, but raised 9 children, all of us with an education, all of us out of the field, not a single one of us working in the field. Her story needs to be told so that the next person knows, you know what, if that person did it and they didn't have a high school diploma or they didn't have that wonderful college diploma, then I can do it. And that's what's important. And people keep saying, well, why wasn't it last year? Well, guess what? What if the child that needs to know that you were the successful carpenter or you are a Purple Heart recipient like Mr. Henry Guzman, if you are a single mother of 2 little girls and recently started going through nursing school like my sister Marisela Reyes, I know she's in here somewhere, then I want to be that, and I want to be that. And that's why it's so important, and that's why a lot of times you see us continuing to ask you, and you change careers, like Tom Lioness told us, last year I was this year I'm that. So it's very important for our children, for each other. I'd love to reach out across the hall and know that there's somebody that's doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, so I can utilize them as mentors, so I can utilize them as a shoulder to lean on, and so that I can utilize them as friendship and family, because I myself am from Texas. Many of us are from other countries. So we're reaching out for, Texas, and we're reaching out for that other Argentino. I mean, I just ran into, speaking of the Latino Festival, there was a young lady that just moved here from the Dominican Republic. She's like, I didn't know there was this many Latinos. And I'm from the Dominican Republic, and I know nobody. I'm like, well, here's 150,000 new friends. Start introducing yourself. So I also want to thank our editors, photographers, writers, many who are in this room, Lair Marin, Augusto Science, Kenny Ramos, Nino Torres, Stella Villalba, who unfortunately had a family emergency, but she can't be here. We have many, many people that wish they were here, but unfortunately, life has a way of pulling us away from to other things. To our sponsors and advertisers, we're humbled by your extraordinary support. As mentioned before, many organizations are also celebrating their 5 years. You'll see stories of them in the Who's Who this year, Latina Mentoring Academy, the Lincoln Theater. Alpha Psi Lambda is celebrating 30 years. If those of you who don't know Alpha Psi Lambda, it's the first Hispanic co-ed fraternity founded at The Ohio State University. So, yeah, there's a lot of fraternity members here. The theme of our book this year was Alcanzando Sueños, Reaching Our Dreams. And this edition has many exciting stories of Latinos who have made their dreams a reality. Their bios, their stories represent the journeys, struggles, successes, and triumphs of many illustrious citizens. They're testimonies of people who have passionately desired to make a difference in the world and possess the faith and the belief to achieve them. You'll read about many of our IPs that you met earlier, but I would be remiss as a member of the Columbus City Schools not to mention again, I know Brian's probably tired of getting up, Brian Quijada, but for those of you who do not know what a Millennium Scholar is, there's very few of them. This means this is a young man, Latino, by the way. We had our first one last year, and Brian's our second one this year, that he can be whatever he wants. Gates will pay for him to go to college. So for those of you who have children, follow that path. Imagine you having a 6-year-old or 7-year-old at home, and they pick up this book and they read about Brian. They're going, well, wait a minute. Here's a young man who he looks like me. Maybe I can do it also. So Brian, kudos to you and to your family. I want to recognize your family for coming here and joining you and being the support. We all need our family. I don't know if you've met his family, but they're back there. I'm going to, por favor, la familia de Brian Quijada, si pueden levantarse, por favor. Biochemistry and a path to pre-med, so he might be your next doctor. So, as mentioned before by JJ, the inaugural edition honored Juan Jose Perez Sr. in our community. It's shortly followed by Dr. Josue Villa, who was actually from The Ohio State University and is actually one of the gentlemen that's responsible for me being here today, recruiting me to come to Ohio State University. Then, shortly thereafter, we had Master Sergeant Tamara Gonzalez, and then the gracious and always supportive Julio Arbini Carbonell was in our last edition. So many of you know Sergeant, or recently retired Sergeant Kenny Ramos, right? Many. I'd be up here another 10 minutes if I read his whole resume. So I'm just going to say he has served us well as a member of the Columbus Police Department, recently promoted to sergeant. Many of us know that he is a helicopter pilot and flies planes, and he also teaches people to fly. He currently sits on the boards of the Ohio Hispanic Coalition, Catholic Social Services, Community Refugees and Immigration. He's helping build a nationwide insurance agency. He's a photographer. He's raised four children, and obviously a loving husband, or he has a very strong wife next to him with Alexandra. So I would like to give an opportunity for Kenny, who is now a federal agent with the Federal Aviation Administration, an opportunity to come and talk to us.
Buenas noches. I did retire from the Columbus Police Department with 20 years. I got promoted, And shortly after I got promoted, I got called by the FAA. I've been in aviation for over 30 years. So I started back in high school. I got the opportunity to go to Cleveland Public Schools, Aviation High School, and I graduated with my license as an aircraft mechanic. At 18, I joined the military, and I went to jump school. I was a paratrooper. And one thing that I remember about that, a little anecdote, is when you're in the plane, you have one person in front of you, and they trust you to check their back, make sure that their parachute's okay, that nothing's going to happen. And then there's someone behind you that's going to follow you. So you trust that person that they're going to make sure you're okay. The door opens, we're going about 100 miles an hour, and the person in front of you goes out the door. Now, you trust that they did fine, and you follow them through that door. Because if you stop at the door, you stop everybody behind you. So what I want you to take from that is we have every opportunity to go through those doors. Don't stop, go through the door, because someone behind you is going to follow you. So if we consider ourselves leaders, we lead by example and make sure that we open the door and let the people behind us, the younger ones, my generation, I got 4. So, and I got a supporting wife that has allowed me to grow in aviation. I was an aircraft owner. So I just came in and said, I want to buy an airplane. And she supported me there. It was a business venture, but the opportunities allowed me to grow, and what we learned from there allowed her to start a business on her own also. So all I can do is thank the City of Columbus with all the opportunities that we have here, our great leadership in City Council, and now in our Senate, and all our friends throughout the city and Who's Who Publishing, allowing us the opportunity to brag about ourselves, because, you know, we are doing well, and we're growing, and we're part of the fabric of Columbus. We are the Latino community here in Columbus. So thank you.
So now if I could have Ernie, Sullivan, Delana, Carter, and you already up here.
All right. 1, 2, 3, going backwards.